Welcome back everyone, and I'm glad to see that I have retained some users. This is going to be an updated video for anyone that's in the know on how to set up DuckDNS with their Jellyfin install. I know the video is a bit old now, and I just want to give it a quick refresher with a couple of updates I want to put inside of there, since a couple things have changed since the last time. So basically, we're going to set up our Jellyfin, so our Jellyfin install to run um, using a reverse proxy for free, meaning you do not need to buy a domain. You just need to get it. It's basically going to run like this. As you can see, my Jellyfin loads up, and except instead of tv.our-domain, it will be .duckdns.org. So first thing we're going to need is, let's go over Caddy. So we will need Caddy. So if we go to Caddy's .community, and on the top, you should see where it says the GitHub. Just click on that. And we're going to scroll down to the Caddy server link in the About Us. That's going to give us our download. And I know a lot of people missed this last time, so I want to make sure, click on the download. I want to make sure you guys understand. So if you're running Windows or whatever platform your PC is running, it'll automatically figure out what PC you're running and set the platform. So since I'm on a Windows machine, this is Windows AMD 64. If you're running Linux, you can just do, it's Linux AMD 64, unless you're on like an ARM processor, which most of us are not. So if you are on Linux, I'm actually going to make a follow-up video after this on how to install it on Linux. You'll click on Linux AMD 64. But right now we're on Windows, so we're going to stick with Windows. We need to enable 2 add-ons. Now, I don't recommend doing any more than what's needed, but with this one, if you do end up buying a domain later, it's great, so you don't have to reinstall it and do it all over again. So we're going to select CaddyDNS Cloudflare, just in case we select a domain later on. Then we want this DuckDNS plugin, and we select that. The reason we want to have these are we can't run a DNS provider, meaning our Caddyfile, unless we have these add-ons. You'll get an error saying something along the lines of, it can't register or can't find the plugin. So we're just going to click on the download once we select, and it says extra features too. And we're going to save this to our downloads. So I'm going to save mine right in here. And once that's saved, we can start setting that up. But let's go to duckdns.org. Again, all these links will be in the description, just as for anyone that wants to use them. I'm going to sign in. You can use any of the sign-in preferences. I'm just going to use Google because it's easiest. I'm going to move this off to the side of the screen while I log in. Gotta verify my 2-step auth. Alrighty. So once you have this loaded up, I will blur out my token and my account up here and up here, because those we don't need those to be shown. Basically, what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to set up our IP on here, and I'm going to blur this out as well. But basically, to find our IP, we're going to go to ipchicken.com. This is going to give us our external IP for our domain, where our ISP is hosting it. You don't need this necessarily because we're going to end up so this is where we get into the really in particular things. So most home or residential ISPs are dynamic, meaning they are set up to have what's called dynamic IP, where it changes every time you reboot the modem or the modem goes down or it powers off, your IP changes. Okay, there's 3 different types of categories of IPs. There's a static IP, which stays the same no matter where you go. There's dynamic IP, which is most residential. The only thing you really use is static is businesses, and then you can actually ask for a static IP, which the best one you want to have is a static IP because it gives you the most easiest way of installing and doing things on your external into the World Wide Web. Basically anything you want to push to the World Wide Web, it's way easier to do on a static IP than a dynamic, but dynamic works the same. You just need a couple extra features to get that enabled. And then you have what's called a CGNAT, and CGNAT means you cannot port forward, you can't open up any ports. It's basically your IP is the same as dynamic, the only difference is you can't open ports. So there's dynamic, which changes your IP, CGNAT, which doesn't change your IP or changes your IP and doesn't give you a standard port to open, and then there's static. Now with a CGNAT, just so you know, a lot of people overseas, not in the United States, can actually ask for to go from CGNAT to static for a small charge, usually between $1 and $5 a month, or a standard fee. But usually they're pretty lenient about giving you a static IP. If not, just say you're a developer and you do development on web-based stuff, and you need to be able to push your stuff to the World Wide Web to do development. They should be allowing you to do it then if you have any questions on that. They ask you if it's for business purposes, just say no, it's for tinkering. You do it as a side gig just for tinkering around, but you also do it for helping with free open source projects, and usually they'll be okay with it. So once we have Caddy downloaded and we have our DuckDNS logged in, we need to go into make a domain. So I'm going to make mine, let's just call it, well, I already have one. I'm going to delete this and do it again real quick so you can do it again. We're going to call it Demon Warrior Flicks.duckdns. And again, these will be blurred out the IPs, but you basically should automatically pull your current IP. Now that we have that, we can go into our, we need to install our DuckDNS setup. So to do this, you don't need to do this if you have a static IP. If you have a dynamic IP, this will be needed. Click install. We're going to go to Windows GUI, and this is basically like using a tray. So like how Jellyfin's in a tray right here, it'll be basically the same thing. And once you click on that, it should open up all these other sub things. We don't need to worry about that. It should just load up. Hold on. Let's try this again. Ooh, maybe not. Hold on. Okay, so I realized when you click Windows GUI, you need to choose a domain. I don't know if you have multiple domains, if this will pull up, or if it's only if you have a single, it should auto select. But I'm just going to select Demon Warrior Flicks.duckdns. And once you select the Windows UI and Demon Warriors Flicks, then it'll show steps to install it. Basically, we're going to click on this link, this link to find it. So it's going to pull us to this link, and we're going to scroll down until we see the exe and click it. And we're going to click save. And now we're going to run it. And next, and next. We'll create a desktop icon just for ease of access. You don't have to do that. That's just if you want to. All right. Now that we have that, all we have to do is configure the software. So we're going to run that now. So if you type in DuckDNS, should pull up. We'll click on that. And it's right click. So it's in here in the tray. So if you click on the tray down here and you right click it, and it'll say DuckDNS settings, and we'll add our domain, which is this one. Where'd it go? And we'll add our token. Again, I'm going to block this out for reference, but just so you know. And refresh info is fine. Yes, update. You can do this. It'll just tell you when it updates your IP. If you don't want that, you just click no. I'm going to click no because I'm not going to use this very often. DuckDNS successfully validated. Awesome. Now comes the fun part. We get to set up our Caddy. So let's go into our downloads folder. So we're going to go into downloads. And we put Caddy in here somewhere. So let's find it. Thought we put Caddy in here. Hold on one moment. Check where it downloaded. Oh, it did not download correctly. Let's try that again. Let's click download. And we'll click. Oh, that's why. Okay. It's in our J drive. So we will go to our J drive. It's in here. Here it is, maybe? Nope. We'll just save it again. We're going to save it to our C drive. So I'm going to save it in here. I'm going to go into here and select C drive. And we're going to downloads actually. And click open and download. And once it's done, it's all done, we can open in folder. And we're going to right click this and copy it. Now, I always recommend having a separate folder on your OS for tools. This is all my tools folder, so I have all my tools in here. We can just create a new folder called Caddy. I'm going to name mine Caddy YouTube. You just name yours Caddy, like I have. So again, I have C. I made a C drive, and then I made a folder called Tools, and I made another folder called Caddy YouTube. I'm going to paste that in here, and we're going to rename it so it's easier to write. And we're going to name it just Caddy with all lowercase Caddy. Okay, just Caddy. And we're going to make a new file. So new file, and I always recommend Sublime Text Editor. And we're going to name it Caddyfile. You want a capital C, all lowercase, ADDY file, and no extensions. It should have no extensions whatsoever, just Caddyfile. And it asks me, do I want to change it because it's listed as a TXT file? I'm going to click yes. Now, as you see, it's just a file, and you can open it with Sublime. I'm going to show you Sublime real quick. It's a great text editor. It has syntax checkers, which is great, and it really is useful when it comes to setting up text documents to find syntax or errors inside your scripting. So I will put that in the description as well if you guys would like to use it. We're going to make our Caddy file now. So I have a couple examples on my website. So again, I have Dockersaurus running my website. It's Docker, and we're going to go into examples, Caddy examples. As you see, I have three different options. I have Cloudflare examples, DuckDNS examples, and multiple subdomain examples. We're going to go to DuckDNS examples, and let's say I'm going to use my Jellyfin as one. I'm not going to do that. I will do that, but I'm going to name it different. Well, we'll choose the same port. So this is the DuckDNS example. So we're going to take this and plop it into this file. Just opened. Hold on. There it is. And we're going to paste it in there. And we're going to change our subdomain to Demon Warrior Flicks.duckdns.org. And we're going to name our IP as 8096. And we're going to click save. Now that's saved. New thing with DuckDNS is and Caddy is you don't need a TLS certificate, which is good. You can close that out. Now we need to go to our router. So I'm going to go to my router, which is 192.168.0.1. It may be different for you if you want to figure it out. Just open up a terminal or PowerShell and type in ipconfig. And at the top, it will show under I'm on Ethernet. If you're not on Ethernet, it'll show like Wi-Fi or something. It'll show this is my IP of my local machine, the IPv4. You'll want the default gateway IP, which is this one right here. As you can see, it's the same as this one. So we found that out. We'll log in. Right. Once we're here, we go into advanced. Again, yours may look different than this. This is Verizon's gateway. We're going to go under settings and firewall. And we go into port forwarding. Okay, this is important. So we're going to set our application name as Caddy, or we'll set it as HTTPS actually, because this is our port. 443 is always going to be the default HTTPS port, just as an FYI. I think I already have one in here. I already have one in here, but just for kicks and giggles, I'll delete it just so we can see. Okay. All right. So HTTPS 443. Select the protocol. It's always going to be TCP. Schedules. You can just do user def. Oh well. You can just do cancel. You can just keep this as always. And we're going to select our device. So as you know from our IP right here, this is my device IP. So we will put that as the device IP right here. As you can see, it's 111. Okay, and click add. Next, we're going to do HTTP. And this is 80. Again, this is the default port for all of the devices that use HTTP. 80 is the default. Again, you want 80 for original and forward to port, and schedule always. Protocol TCP, the same as before. Click add to list. Next, we're going to click apply changes. And to check if it worked, we go into the website. Again, I'll have this in the description, but it's going to be portchecker.co. And we'll check our IP. This is obviously going to be blurred out. Check 80's closed. Let's try 443. You may have to reboot your router sometimes, but you'll see it. Let me try to run something on here. With Verizon gateways, they're kind of weird. So if you have 80 and 443 open, sometimes it closes until it's active. So let's try to run Caddy real quick. We have this set up now, Caddy file. We have our DuckDNS propagating to that IP. So now to run Caddy. So we're going to open up PowerShell. We're already in PowerShell. I'll just clear this. and we're gonna run cd dot for cd c:/tools caddy yt. Again, this will be caddy regular for you. I'm using YouTube because that's mine that I'm currently using. cd c:/tools caddy yt. Alright, now this basically, the CD brings us to the directory we want to go to. Basically like moving from a folder and clicking on the icon. So put us right there. Now we're going to do this command. So it's /. This is so we can run caddy as a binary. Caddy run --config and caddyfile. Basically what this is doing is it's doing a // so we can make an executable. It's going to run then caddy in PowerShell, the exe, and it's going to run the config and then our caddy file. We'll see if we run it. Make sure you click allow. Want to make sure that's allowed. As you can see, it's running through releasing the lock. So successfully obtained demonwarriorflix.duckdns.com. And we'll see if it works real quick. It might take a minute or two, so let's just give it a minute. And see it authenticated DuckDNS here too as well. That's good. Let's make sure there's no errors. No errors up here. Okay. And see 443 is open now, and if I go to 80, now it'll show open as well. So if you see it closed, it's not a big deal. Run caddy, and if it doesn't work, then and it still shows closed, then it could be an issue. Let's see if it runs. Let's try to run our domain real quick. demonwarriorflix.duckdns.org. It's still running, so we'll let it release that lock. It sometimes can take a bit, so we'll give that a minute. Okay, so it still says releasing lock, but if I load up my domain now, you can see if I type in demonwarriorflix.duckdns.org, it loads my Jellyfin instance. Now if it doesn't, all you have to do is check, and you'll need to go to 192.168.0.111. So your local IP and your port. Go into here, go into dashboard, go into general, and you need to go down to, I'm sorry, not general, networking, advanced networking, and just change this port, public HTTPS port, to 443. Once you do that, you should be set and it should work then. But now that we have successfully reverse proxied our domain, we are running on a GUI, and we have done it for free on DuckDNS. If there's anything else you guys would like to see, one thing that could also be troubleshooting stuff is, let me go into this. If it doesn't work as well, go into advanced in your Windows, and you'll see advanced firewall. This can also be done in Linux as well. Go into inbound rules, add a new rule, name it port, and we're going to do 443 80, and allow connection. Yes. Next. And we'll just name this Caddy YT. You can name it just Caddy. I'm just doing it because I have a Caddy rule. Now if that's done, that will allow the firewall to let it through just in case it's not already doing that. That's the thing, troubleshooting stuff that you could go through. Once you have that set up, now all you have to do is set up an automatic start on boot, right? So to do that, we need to go and get our NSSM. So I'll have this in the description as well. It's also my website, on my docs website. Let me find it. How to set up NSSM. But I'll go over it here just for kicks and giggles so you guys know what to do. If you open this link, it'll have NSSM somewhere in here. We'll go here. NSSM. Just look it up on Google. It'll be the first one, not the non-second service manager. Click on download. And we're going to go to NSSM 2.24. Click on that. We're going to save it to our downloads. And we're going to load it up and open it. and you're gonna see there's a folder, and there's gonna be 3 directories: source, Win32, Win64. Since we're on a Windows 64-bit PC, we can click on that, copy this out of, so Control C or right click and copy, and we're going to this PC, local disk C. We type in tools, and we're gonna make a new folder called NSSM. I already have one, so I don't need to do that, but just for giggles, I'm gonna do NSSM YouTube. Alright, paste that in there. Now we need to add it as a running directory. So when we run PowerShell, we can just do there instead of actually going to the directory. So to do this, we go into environment, and we're going to edit our environment variables. Not that. We're going to go into environment. Click on that control panel. We're going to go to the second box, the system variables, and go down to path. So here's path in system variables, not the top one, the system variables one. Double click it, and we're going to click on new, and we're going to add our directory. So C:/tools/NSSM YouTube and set. If you want to copy and paste it, you can just name it as whatever you want. So you can just name it like Craig, just so it saves, and then just click on right click it or double click and paste that in. Now that's in there, click OK. OK. Now if we go into PowerShell, we need to make sure it's administrative, so we can either right click it and right click this again. Not right click, sorry. You want to click on, if you're on Windows 11, you click on this. PowerShell, you click Control Shift 1. So Control Shift 1 or Control Shift, I'm sorry, and then click the PowerShell. And now we're in an administrative window. NSSM install Caddy. Again, that's NSSM. We're going to install the process and name it Caddy. We're going to find our path to Caddy. So we're going to go into local disk C, tools, Caddy, and for us, we're using the Caddy YouTube. So I'm going to go to Caddy YouTube and select the exe. And I'm going to do the start directory as our Caddy YouTube. Next, we need to do our arguments. In here, it's going to be a little different. So in regular Caddy, we did caddy./caddy run. We don't need to do this because Caddy is already being selected as a startup. So all we have to do is do the task run --caddyfile. So let's do that. So we're going to go into our NSSM. We're going to do run --config caddyfile. Make sure it's capital C for caddyfile, and make sure all the rest is lowercase. Once you do that, click install service. Okay, awesome, it's installed. We click save. Now to run it, NSSM start caddy, and this is to start caddy. And service paused unexpectedly, probably because I already have it running in here. So that's, if you get that error, just Control C twice in the PowerShell window, run it again, and now it's started. Now if we check, we can check to see if it's working. If we type in our DuckDNS domain, it should load up. It might take a minute to load, but it will load eventually. We'll just give it a minute to propagate. Okay, so I fixed it. There you go. Now it's running. So if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, or want to just give me props on, sharing a great tutorial, I always love to hear feedback. If you have any questions or concerns, all my stuff is documented on my doc website using Docusaurus. I have all my videos up here as well as Docker examples, Caddy examples, Jellyfin extras like plugins and themes. So if you guys want to hit me up with anything, you can also join our Discord, which I have open all the time. You guys can join our Discord. It's right here. Thanks, guys. Please comment, rate, and subscribe. Have a great rest of your night.